Alright, in this module, I want to go back to one of the documents we created earlier, the VTC document, and this is the .docx file format, now that we've learned a little bit about some of the file formats available. And I want to show you how easy it is to work with previous data that you've already worked with in the application. And another way that Office 2007 has changed, and one I think that's going to make it easier for you to find your working data. And that is just to simply use the Office button, and you may have been aware of this before, but here you have a recent documents list on the right hand side. In fact, it takes up, as you can see, most of the real estate on the Office button itself. So if you want to do something like open up previous document like VTC2, which was in compatibility mode, then we can just click on it here from the Office button. So I think that'll be a big help over using the Office button and then clicking on Open, or even using some of the Start menu shortcuts that can be added, or creating a lot of desktop shortcuts. The stuff that you're working with right away, or that you have been working with recently, is right there and should be right there at your fingertips. So again, you don't have to click on Open and then start scrolling through your entire folder hierarchy. Just use the Office button and click on one of your recent documents. Now, of course, there's an algorithm here that goes on that builds that most recently used, and in fact it's called FIFO, first in, first out. So if I were to start opening up a bunch of other documents, then eventually that list, if I don't open it up again, starts moving down the list until it's off all the way. But you can manage how many documents appear on this list in a couple of ways. One way that you can do it is that you can pin a document, and in fact you can see that the screen tip here tells you exactly what will happen. Pin this document to the recent documents list. That way, no matter how this list changes, maybe there's an HR guide that you always have to be aware of and find, you can pin it to your Start menu here, or to your Office menu I should say, and in your recent documents here, it will always be there. You can also manage this by clicking on your Word options, and again opening up the Word options dialog box. This time, click on the Advanced section here on the left. There's a lot of advanced options that you can set. We'll look at just about every one of them at some point or another during this entire tutorial. But for now, I want to scroll down this list, and I want to look at the Display section. So the Display section has a lot of indicators about how Word displays information, and one of those options is show this number of recent documents. So I've got 5 here as the setting. If I want to show more, of course, I would just click up on the little scroll wheel here. If I set this to 0, by the way, it can introduce some measure of privacy to your experience with Word, because now if I open up Word and I have 0 documents listed in my recently used documents, notice that this list is now not populated at all. And this includes even documents that you may have pinned to the Start menu earlier. And I just called it the Start menu again, but of course it's the Office button menu. So go back to Word options, let's go back to Advanced, and let me change this to, again, a number that you're more comfortable with. How about 12 would be a good one. And then I go back to the Office button. Recent documents, again, nothing there. It would have to wait until I then opened up some documents and started to work with some documents. So bear that in mind when you set your recently used documents to 0, that it will affect future use, at least for a little while until that list is repopulated. But that's how you can use Word to help you actually find stuff on your computer. Use it not only as a word processing application, but as something that helps find and keep track of the information you write.